Calaroga Shark Media.
Hello and welcome to Palace Intrigue. I am your host, Mark Francis. Did Harry go out of his way to both overshadow the King and his brother William? Harry appeared via video at the New York Comedy Festival.
Good evening, everyone, and hello, New York. Obviously, I was deeply honoured when Bob asked me to debut my stand-up act with you all tonight. I was so relieved to be invited back, but then I started to question whether his invite for me to actually do stand-up was in fact his idea of a joke. Either way, due to the shockingly low representation of gingers last year, and out of respect for my fellow endangered species, here I am, reporting for duty.
The Daily Mail recapped Harry's set, in which he joked about never being scrutinised, his ginger hair, and taking life advice from his Reiki healer. Of note, Harry wore 4 British military medals, including 3 given to him by Queen Elizabeth, and a Royal British Legion poppy on his suit jacket. The video appears to have been filmed in the garden of his Montecito mansion and was released online just before King Charles III was to give his first King's Speech. As someone who never gets scrutinised, I haven't even had to prepare much, but out of an abundance of caution, I have been working on this particular act for quite some time, and everyone I know tells me it's perfect. And no, these aren't people who just tell me what I want to hear. These are people like my fiancé, manager, my lawyer, and of course my Reiki healer. According to Hello, a cough was heard from someone off camera and Harry handed a script. He asked, "So we're not doing this thing?" before reading the script. "Thank you for having me to this splendid evening celebrating our incredible veterans." He then put the paper down and said, "It's okay, I got this," before moving on to a more serious message. He said, "I've said it before and I'll say it again. Service is what happens in the quiet and the chaos. And whether we are wearing the uniform or not, we must continue to uphold the values we learned side by side on the base, on the drill square and on the battlefield. Values of service, values of honour and integrity, and values of togetherness and solidarity. I know our journeys to this point differ, but we are always connected through what we learned as humans, what we faced as families, and how we've come out stronger because of our ability to listen, to understand, to support one another." It's not clear whether Harry's virtual appearance was pre-planned or a change to the schedule, and Mail Online has contacted representatives for the Sussexes for clarification on this point. While we're overshadowing the King, let's take a look at some more of the criticism Harry and Meghan are getting for their private jet flight to see a Katy Perry concert. Talk TV host Kevin O'Sullivan quipped, "Saving the planet one Katy Perry concert at a time." Royal expert Levin suggested that Harry, who is still a patron of his charity Travelist that promotes sustainable, eco-friendly tourism, should get the sack for flying private. Levin said, "They think they've gotten so grand, they wouldn't dream of taking a normal flight," Levin told the outlet. "They've got all these rich friends to pay for it. It's worse than do as I say, not as I do, because he's a patron of a charity." The New York Post reports the Gulfstream jet is owned by oil heir Michael Hurd and reportedly emits an estimated 2 tons of CO2 an hour, nearly a quarter of the 7.5 tons the average Brit produces every year. Under terms of the Paris Agreement, which seeks to keep global warming well below 2 degrees Celsius, a person's annual carbon budget should be limited to 2.1 tons per year. The Sun cheers that Hurd and billionaire wife Whitney Wolfe, chief exec and founder of dating app Bumble, have recently grown close to the Sussexes. A witness said, "Whitney made a beeline for Meghan when they were all getting off the plane. Meghan was walking to the car, but Whitney ran up to her for a chat. It's like she was determined to show Meghan she is a bestie." Hurd confirmed the trip, saying, "We just went to dinner and to see Katie's last show. They're nice people." Asked about criticism of Harry and Meghan taking a private jet, he said, "I don't have any comment. I'm not them." The Sun also pointed out that Pince William caught a commercial flight for today's Eco Awards in Singapore after banning VIP guests and finalists from arriving there in private jets. William arrived on Sunday afternoon after flying around 7,000 miles on an overnight 13-hour British Airways flight from Heathrow. And lest the King be overshadowed, let us first tell you that Prince William's dragon boat race was not fixed. Of course it wasn't. The Express tells the tale of how in sweltering 31 degrees Celsius heat and 75% humidity, their heir to the throne paddled furiously in time with his team along the stretch of water, where a 10-foot saltwater crocodile was discovered 3 weeks ago and 6-foot monitor lizards regularly surface. All sides denied the result was fixed, although William aroused suspicions. "We won, so I'll take that. The High Commissioner planned it very well." William was praised as a natural at the sport by some of his teammates. William admitted, "I was terrified. If I got it wrong, I'd clash with the whole side and everyone would start going out of sync. All I cared about is don't get it wrong." The heir to the throne is on a 4-day visit to Singapore. He also praised the drummer at the bow of the boat, saying, "The drum was very good rhythm." Team captain Chris Boscher said of the brave prince, "He was excellent," and he said, "Seriously, guys, I want us to win this," after he was asking about the race calendar, and we mentioned we'd got a race coming up in 2 weeks, and he really should come back and we'll give him a seat on the boat. He said it's quite a refreshing break to do from the normal routine, so this was right up his street. And nobody wants to overshadow the king, but we do want to tell you about Pince William's star-studded Earthshot event in Singapore. Kate Blanchett, Ted Lasso star Hannah Waddingham, and Emmy Award-winning actor and producer Sterling K. Brown were on hand. William was joined on the green carpet by Earthshot Prize Council member Blanchett, before he then met Waddingham and Brown. William, who has not seen Katy Perry in concert lately, said, "I choose to believe that the future generations will look back on this decade at the point which we globally took collective action for our planet. The moment we refused to accept the voices of denial and defeatism and instead became the architects of change towards a healthy and sustainable world. We owe it to the generations that will follow us to work together, both for their future and for the future of our planet. It is my belief that we will find the courage to do so. We will find the courage because we hold on to the most powerful motivators of all, optimism and hope." The event featured musical performances by One Republic, Bastille, and Bebe Rexha, and will be broadcast on PBS in the US on Sunday. Palace Intrigue will be right back. One of the narratives of King Charles' reign is that he is just a placeholder monarch between the great Queen Elizabeth and whatever magic kingdom will come along with William and Kate. And today's Palace Intrigue is a great example of how hard it is for the king to be noticed. For example, you would think wearing £4 billion worth of jewels would get someone noticed. The Express reported the plan was for £4 billion worth of diamonds to be worn, including the imperial state crown. The BBC reminded us that the state opening of Parliament is a colourful and sometimes unlikely mix of politics, pageantry, and dressing up. It's a ceremony dating back to the 15th century that marks the start of parliamentary session, bringing together the constituent parts of Parliament, the Crown, peers, and MPs. But it also involves crowns, carriages, and robes, and titles like Gold Stick and Black Rod. It's a ceremony full of its own unusual traditions. There is a procession with the sword of state, this time not involving Penny Mordaunt. The cap of maintenance might sound like a policy on cutting benefits, but it's a red velvet cap that is carefully carried as the king makes his way to the House of Lords to read out the speech. One of the stranger traditions of the state opening is that parliamentarians have to hand over a hostage to the royal household. It's a relic of the historic distrust between Parliament and the Crown, so that the royals keep an MP, usually a government whip, in Buckingham Palace until they get their monarch safely home. As for the speech itself, The Spectator recapped, Charles' speech showed that Britain's monarch is doing a good job in his role. Even before he said a single word today, Charles looked thoroughly at home in the surroundings. It's hard to believe that this was the first speech that Charles has delivered as ruler, so established does he now seem in the role of monarch. There was a personal note struck at the beginning when Charles said that it is mindful of the legacy of service and devotion to this country set by my beloved mother, the late Queen, that I deliver this, the first King's speech in over 7 decades. It was a reminder that the ghost of Elizabeth II still hangs over the royals and is likely to do so for at least all of Charles' reign, and probably well into that of William's, assuming, of course, that his son ever takes the throne. It was a short speech, not even lasting a quarter of an hour, but still ran to 1,223 words, the longest at a state opening of Parliament since 2005. On his way to Parliament, Charles waved to booing anti-monarchist protesters as they chanted, "Not my king," and "Down with the crown." And there you have it. If you'd like to email us, our address is thepalaceintrigue@gmail.com. Please follow us on Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts, your app of choice. If you're on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button. It really helps us out. I'm Mark Francis. My thanks to John McDermott. This is Palace Intrigue. Good times.